Monday, 22nd of March, Motorcycle Diaries with me, Luke Wilkins. I have just returned from Coventry and Ducati where I dropped off the 1198S. Simply one of the greatest riding machines ever. The talk I did with Jinxie and everything, I hope it came across. I was a little bit dazed, I'm just tired after a long weekend and obviously riding in the rain. Simply one of the best machines you'll ever ride. It's Ducati. You know, not all of us can afford them, not all of us practically would probably want to use one all the time. But if you can get your hands on one, or if you want to go test ride one, there's nothing like it. That racing twin, amazing. But now we move on to this. The Harley Davidson 2010 Wide Glide. Look at this puppy. As always with the Harley, the first thing is, it does look amazing. In the past, as I say, I've always had a bit of a thing with the Harleys. You have to understand, obviously, this is not going to perform like, for instance, the Rocket 3 or the Roadster I'm riding at the moment. This and Harleys can only really be judged against Harleys. They are very different. I'm not going to judge it too much before I even get on it. I haven't ridden it yet, so I don't know what it's like. But as you can see, big V-twin, 96 cubic inches, which you've got to love. It's a little bit styled, much more like a chopper, as you can see. It's got that nice fat seat, and then those kind of forks that point backwards, and that spokely wheels. It is very, very stylish, which I am actually really, really liking. 2-to-1 exhaust on one side. If you have a look at the dials, very, very simple, nice kind of chopper layout with your speedo there and your odo, and some dashes here on the handlebars. You've got your high, low beams, horns there, indicators, and these are self-cancelling indicators, so you put them on once you've turned, it knows you've turned, which is quite clever. Something that also unique to Harleys, as far as I'm aware, and anyone's bikes I've ridden that have it, is this keyless entry. You literally put in the key that unlocks it, keep that key in your pocket, which looks a little bit like this, and that's the key that kind of like deadlocks it, and voila, one touch start. And let's just show you how this does start. The hand clutching, which will help. There we go. I had to actually take the engine thing off. Now, let's have a little bit of a sound check before I get some onboard footage and take this for a spin. Doesn't really sound great. Harleys you always need to fit aftermarket cans to, very much like Japanese cruisers, they all just sound really quite tame to us. You know, I suppose this comes up against something like the Honda Fury I've tested. Not tested, but went to the launch of recently. It has that slightly more chopper style. Suzuki Intruder, the Intruder as well, and the Marauders. So it's coming up against all of those kind of Japanese cruisers. But this is the original and best. Let's see what it's like. I'm going to jump on now. I'm not going to prejudge this, I'm not expecting to ride great, but we will find out, and I'll let you know what I think, because to be honest with you, it looks beautiful. Look at the flame work on that tank. I've got the onboard camera, I'm not going to try and talk so much. Let's get the footage until the radio mic comes through, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. And I'm going to head out into the sun, 6 o'clock in Birmingham, just catch some roads. See you in a bit. Okay, here we go. Harley Davidson Wide Glide 2010, full tank of gas. Am I missing already straight away? The seamlessness is, it's like a proper chopper. Real foot forward cruise control, which I haven't ridden for a while. I'm looking forward to it. I'm just going to get out and cruise around, have some fun in the sun. Well, it can be described as an interesting ride straight away. Suspension is quite rattly. The old bone shaker. But yeah, it's always an indication of how much the bike's rattling when the wing mirrors are pretty blurred. It does feel cool, it's a nice riding position. Oh, the engine pulls it nicely, it's obviously sporty. There's a lot of bikes I've ridden, but that's not the point of a Harley. It's supposed to cruise you there. It's not powerful, it's relaxed comfort and style. You can't really fault it on that, to be honest with you. Oof, getting around corners, it's a bit of a boat. Okay, well obviously it handles extremely different to the other bike I've been riding for a rather long time. You know, the closest thing in comparison would obviously be the Rocket 3 Roadster, but even that's much more upright than this. Brakes are alright, actually, nice big disc on the front, definitely. First impressions, okay, it's a Harley, it's rattly.
It's a bone shaker. It's not got a lot of power, but it's not bad for a Harley. And because it's got standard cams on it, it hardly makes any noise. But as a stylish bike to ride, it's lovely. It looks much nuts, it's got everything you need. It's not hard to ride, I wouldn't say. You've got to aim for the corners a lot more, you know, you've got to line them up because of the fact that you've got forks obviously facing forward. Also, I haven't done it yet, but I'm just telling you, having experience with bikes like this is, yeah, you've got to be really careful when you're going over potholes with forward facing forks, because obviously it sends half the shock back through the bike instead of just up and down. I like it, there's no lying. I'm just cruising around Birmingham City Centre. I'm going to go down Broad Street later because riding on a Harley is cool. But as a rider's bike, it's something very different. If you've never ridden a Harley, for instance, you're going from a Japanese bike onto one of these, you'd find it weird.
Okay, just back from it's about an hour and a half ride that was. Every time I kept coming back to come home on the bike, I ended up going for another spin. That's actually really surprised me, to be honest with you. Harley's, obviously, and the fact that it is kind of like a almost chopper style in the way that with the handlebars, the forks and everything all set up. It's such a different bike to ride. From the mentality of going from that Ducati 1198, been riding the VFR, it completely changes. Even from the Rocket, obviously there's the Rocket 3 now. If you look at them side by side, that's obviously the more upright bike, as it is the Roadster. But you need to get into mindset with a Harley. For a start, I mean, nothing quite looks like a Harley. That, even if you're into sports bike, you've got to admit with this chrome and everything I showed, that is pretty beautiful. It's that whole retro styling thing, that the suspension just on show with the chrome, the exhaust, just looks amazing. That engine looks really, really nice. As a riding experience, it is very, very different. You know, it performs actually this one quite nicely. It does pull. It's compared to something like the Rocket 3 or the Thunderbird, probably a better example of the Triumph. Nowhere near as much torque or kind of power outright. But this is, you know, still quite nippy. I was quite surprised. The more and more I got into it and I was taking for spins down the rim road, you know, you can actually really kind of give it some and open it up. You need to be a little bit careful though, because of those brakes and obviously the way it is designed, it's not the easiest thing to handle. It's not like a horrible you know, barge or anything, but it's just a case of you need to plan corners through a bit, that really narrow front tyre as well. You know, you just want to make sure that you've got your angles and your corners right, and also braking wise, you've got a big disc on the front. A couple of times I had to grab hold of that brake today. It does a good job of stopping you. It's just not, you know, say compared to sports bikes, brakes obviously you just got to get a little bit more used to it, which is what I'm going for that mentality now. I'm not going to lie, I really, really enjoyed that. It's put a massive smile on my face. There is nothing like riding around on a Harley. Yeah, it rattles, you know, it shakes your bones. Suspension on this is alright. I hit a few potholes though that almost took my head off, but not too bad. But yeah, you know, it's, as a riding experience goes, there's nothing. It's very similar to, like, for instance, Ducatis. There is nothing like it. Obviously the Ducatis, it's more about the racing, pedigree and all that kind of stuff. With this, you just want to get on a bike and sit on it and cruise and do about 50 miles an hour, maybe up to about 60, 70, but that's about it. You know, you don't want to take it further than that. It's only do probably about a ton up max, but I was impressed. It did feel sprightly. It did want to be, you know, I say want to be ridden, that's the wrong way to put it. It is enjoyable to ride. It's a very nice experience, obviously. It's not a rider's bike, in as much that, you know, you're not going to be leaning into corners. Actually, you know, I caught the pegs a couple of times just on a roundabout, and it's not a rider's bike where you're going to be riding it to the limit, but that's not the point. You're supposed to be having fun while you're riding this in a different way, by relaxing, enjoying the view, enjoying the fact that you're cruising along at 50, 55 as they would do in the US on a nice big straight line. And yeah, it's really made a nice impression on me. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to have to put this away for 2 days because I've got to finish my review on the Rocket 3, which is going to be a great contrast and repair. Getting back on that tomorrow. That is obviously just an absolute beast of a bike. So looking forward to that, and then I'll be back on the Harley for the end of the week, and then it's the B-King and Gladius, the last two left, because Ducati's gone, Honda goes back tomorrow. Looking forward to actually getting back on the Rocket, and I'm very much looking forward to spending some more time on this Harley, because, as I keep saying, that is one beautiful machine. So until next time, my friends, ride safe.